For those who live in Navy Yard, did you know you can order Walters online for pickup? Visit waltersdc.com, click on menus, and then push the order online button so it's ready when you get there to take back home with you.
Craftsman Days are here at Lowe's with big savings on the tools you need. Save $100 on the Craftsman V20 6-tool Power Tool Combo Kit, now at $199. No matter what the project is, Craftsman's high-quality, high-performance products empower you to build on. Stop by your nearest Lowe's store and check out the full line of Craftsman tools today. Valid through 6/18 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
The pitch, swung on, drilled to the air to deep left center field. This is way back. This one is going, and reaching up, jumping is Mullins. He cannot get it. It is gone. Goodbye. Into the Orioles bullpen. Bang! Zoom goes Dylan Cruz with a 3-run home run. And it is a crooked number on the board for the Nationals here in the second inning. With a solo homer, a 3-run homer, 4 runs across. It's the Nationals 5 and the Orioles nothing. Here's Abrams driving one to deep left center field. This is way back. At the wall is Laureano leaping. He can't get it. It is gone. Goodbye. C.J. Abrams, who led off the game with a home run on the first pitch, fouled the pitch away in his second at bat, and then homers on the second pitch to left center field. His second of the game, is 8th of the year. And the Boo Birds are out here at Camden Yards in the second inning. 5 runs home for the Nationals with their 3rd home run of the inning. It's the Nationals 6 and the Orioles nothing. Unbelievable.
And welcome to Nats Chat along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who was at Oriole Park at Camden Yards in Baltimore. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. The Nationals over the weekend had their way at the Orioles. A 3-game sweep at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. The Nats this regular season went 5-1 against the O's, first time since 2018. That the Nats won the majority of their games against the O's in a regular season. Sunday afternoon, a 10-4 win at the O's to complete the sweep. The Nats scored 10 runs, totaled 13 hits. Did draw no walks, but that was okay. The Nats went 4 for 11 with runners in scoring position, and the 13 hits were comprised of 5 home runs, 3 doubles, and 5 singles. You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can hit us up on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email the show, natschatpodcast@gmail.com, including if you have a shout out that you would like us to deliver. We have a good shout out coming up later in the program. So the Nats in this regular season now 6 games under 500, 21-27, have won 4 or 5 games since the 7-game losing streak. How much we should take from this series at the O's, given that the O's are a disaster right now, is hard to say. But Mark, the Nats in this series did some really good things, especially offensively.
This is going to be the biggest question, and we'll find out, I suppose, later in the week once they face the Braves and then the Giants. How much of this was actual improvement, good at bats, all that kind of stuff from the Nats lineup, and how much of this was a product of who they were facing. Now, I will say, it's one thing to ambush Kyle Gibson, who is out of work now. He was DFA'd after that disastrous start on Saturday. But I think it's another thing to do it to Zach Eflin, who had been really one of the Orioles' only quality starting pitchers to date, and it profiles as the kind of pitcher that the Nats have actually struggled with quite a bit. So that, to me, should be taken as a good sign. They were able to elevate the ball, which is something we've been talking about a whole lot. They continue to see their home run rate go up. It was nice to see it pay off in this way with such a barrage of them. And now we'll wait and see. Can they take something from this to move forward and actually put together the kind of offensive games that give them a chance to win more than they lose? Or do they revert back to what they were right before this series, which was a team that couldn't even score more than 2 runs off an opposing starter? Check back in a few days, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. And as we noted during the 7-game losing streak, the offense was the biggest problem. But as we know, the season is a large sample size, and you take a step back and you examine the Nats now from a home run hitting perspective. The Nats for this regular season, 50 homers in 48 games. The team is on pace to hit 169 home runs. That is vast improvement. Last regular season, 29th out of 30 MLB teams, just 135 homers. The previous regular season, 29th out of 30 MLB teams, 151 home runs. So we are seeing big-time improvement in the home run hitting category, and I think that's really significant here. Like we said, 5 homers in this game on Sunday afternoon, 2 of them coming from C.J. Abrams. He, as the Nats starting shortstop and number 1 batter, 3 for 5 with 2 solo homers and a double. Abrams in a Nats 1-run first, leadoff first pitch home run to right field for a 1-0 Nats lead. Abrams in a Nats 6-run second, a 1-out opposite field solo homer to left for a 6-0 Nats lead. The Nats in this game, again, early offense, had the 6-run first inning on Saturday, had a 6-run second inning on Sunday afternoon. The Nats in this game, 1 run top of the first, 6 runs top of the second, a run in the top of the fourth, a run in the top of the eighth, a run in the top of the ninth. So as was the case in the previous game, 10 runs, but in this game, you saw the offense spread out more. You saw the offense be pretty much good throughout the game. And again, early offense, 7-0 lead after 2 innings for a second consecutive game.
That's amazing. I don't know if I've ever seen that from this team before. Certainly not, in quite a while since they had a lineup made up of big name players who could do that. And to be able to sustain it there early on really set the tone. I mean, you get C.J. Abrams on the very first pitch of the game, silencing the crowd. That's a great start to it. And then to continue that going in the second inning, and not just the solo homers. I mean, for Dylan Cruz to finally get a hold of one and hit a 3-run homer. I know he's had some bad luck. I know he's hit some balls hard that were either on the ground or on the line. This one was a no-doubter, really good contact for him. Seeing that payoff has got to feel good and got to make a difference, I think, for his confidence. And they've made a point, we said all along, like there was this emphasis on trying to hit the ball in the air more, trying to hit more home runs. They still got a ways to go to really, perfect this and prove that it's something they can continue over the whole season. But you just mentioned at 50 homers, they are right in the middle of the pack in the majors now, tied for 14th. If they just stay somewhere in that range, that is a huge improvement from the last few years. And that's a job well done from a team that identified its biggest offensive issue and is now rectifying that in a way that everybody hoped they could.
And the improvement is coming from within. I mean, it's not so much coming from like offseason acquisitions. This really is about James Wood ascending, C.J. Abrams ascending. I mean, Abrams now for this regular season, OPS of 942. We still have games going on as we record this installment of the podcast late Sunday afternoon / early Sunday evening. So where exactly Abrams ranks, we're not going to know until the conclusion of games on Sunday. But I mean, 942 puts you among the best batters in the sport right now. Abrams is killing it. James Wood is at 909. He did not homer on Sunday afternoon, but he had a really nice series. And Wood on Sunday afternoon as the Nats starting left fielder and number 2 batter, 2 for 4, RBI single, another single, and an RBI sac fly. He also had a stolen base. It was interesting. The other 3 Nats players who homered on Sunday afternoon were 3 guys who overall have struggled this year. Dylan Cruz, Josh Bell, and Luis Garcia Jr. The 3-run homer by Cruz was awesome. That coming and that Nats 6-run second inning. Garcia, fresh off the paternity list, a second consecutive good game for him. Garcia in this game as the Nats starting second baseman and number 5 batter, 1 for 4 with a solo homer. Did commit a fielding error, but he ignited that 6-run second with a leadoff homer to right for a 2-0 Nats lead. And the most impressive homer of the game, just in terms of distance and look, was the homer by Josh Bell. He is the Nats starting DH and number 6 batter, 1 for 4 with a solo homer. Bell in a Nats 1-run 8th, a 1-out solo homer on a bomb to right center for a 9-4 Nats lead, 433 feet per Statcast. So to go back to this idea of how much do you take from this series given the opposition, you see a Cruz homer, you see a Bell homer. These are not guys who have homered much this season. Same for Garcia, to be honest. So yeah, we'll see how telling this truly was, but it was great to see those guys do as they did on Sunday.
Yeah, and what I like also is they were kind of discussing, and Davey Martinez was too, the process that's led to some of this in a way that I've not heard from him before. You hear Davey kind of repeat himself a lot about we got to get the ball up in the zone. We got to use the big part of the field. Well, he mentioned something today that I really haven't heard a lot from them, and you heard it from the players as well. A little more sophisticated than that. Talking about beginning in spring training and really through the first 2 months of the year, they've been focused on the point of contact with the ball. which is hitting it a little more out in front, not sitting back, that all those ground balls they hit into the last several years could be a product of making contact a little bit too late back kind of right over the plate where, geometrically, maybe the wrong part of the bat is hitting the ball. By just a tiny little adjustment, hitting it slightly out in front, say the front of the plate instead of the middle of the plate being the point where you make that contact, you hit the ball on the right part of the bat with the swing going on the right plane, and that leads to more balls in the air. And now you're seeing this collectively as a team. So for all that talk of like, hey, do they really know what they're doing as far as coaching? And are they preaching the right things when it comes to batting and looking at launch angle and all the things that you're supposed to be looking at in today's day and age? Yes, they are. The terminology may not all be exactly what you've heard from others in the past, but it is something they are aware of and something they are working on. And, again, we'll see how it goes. But so far, you are seeing tangible signs of progress in that regard.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, we've had the Darnell Coles conversation plenty of times, and when the Nats offense was struggling during the 7-game losing streak, we again had the talk, but, fair is fair. The team's home run output is up significantly, and we're seeing James Wood take another step. We're seeing C.J. Abrams take another step. So don't we have to give Coles credit for that? Like, if we're going to blame him for when this team is bad offensively, if we're seeing improvement, if we're seeing the home run rate shoot up, I think it's only fair to say, all right, maybe Darnell Coles is doing a good job. Like you said, you do need to see more. Okay, I'm not ready to sign the guy to a 5-year extension. Okay, although knowing the Nats, maybe they'll do that again like they did last year when in the middle of August it was declared that everyone's coming back. But seriously, I think to be fair and objective here, maybe Darnell Coles is better than he has been given credit for.
Well, I've been saying all along, if you want to blame the hitting coach for, say, Josh Bell's struggles or Dylan Cruz's struggles, then don't you simultaneously have to credit him for James Wood and C.J. Abrams performing like two of the best hitters in baseball? That can't be only on them for having done it. They must be getting some kind of correct advice. And the answer, as I've always maintained, I think most sane people understand, there's only so much that hitting coaches and managers and pitching coaches can do. They can put you in the right position, but ultimately it's up to the people playing the game to implement what they're being coached. And it is nice to see some of these things working out for them. It's nice to see the guys who are supposed to be the big name hitters coming through for them, certainly. And yeah, look, I think it's fair to credit the entire organization when things go well like that. And I mean, right now, as we've said, you've got two of the best hitters in baseball batting at the top of the Nationals lineup. And that's a nice development to have, especially when they are young, homegrown sort of products like C.J. Abrams and James Wood are.
And it is a beautiful thing seeing that Abrams in the 1 spot, Wood in the 2 spot. That's how it should be. And it is lovely that that is the way that things are going. It seems like more often than not these days. Hey, are you a law firm partner or associate looking to transition to a new firm because of compensation, or your firm recently committed to $100 million in pro bono work that you disagree with? Or maybe your firm is employing people like Jurickson Profar while your competitor firms are using torpedo bats and smoking the competition. If this sounds like you should explore the lateral market and give Mason Kalfas a call. Mason is the top legal recruiter in the Washington, D.C. area. He has been a Nats Chat podcast advertiser since the beginning of our show. Mason will work with you to create a marketing and business plan to pitch to new firms and dramatically increase your compensation and or day-to-day happiness in your new job. Mason has placed partners and associates in just about every large law firm in D.C. and New York, and he can provide plenty of testimonials from candidates he has placed on the outstanding service that they received. You need a strong advocate in your corner to find the best law firm out there for your future career. Call Mason Kalfas today, 202-486-3535.
Right-hander delivers, swing and a fly ball to deep right field. Back goes Kirsten, the right fielder. He's at the big wall looking up, and there it goes. It is gone. Goodbye to the standing room, about 2 rows deep of people in straightaway right field. Bang, zoom goes Luis Garcia Jr. with his 4th home run of the year. The Nationals have led off each of the first 2 innings of this game with a home run. And it's the Nationals 2 and the Orioles nothing.
So the Nats starting pitcher in this 10-4 win at the O's on Sunday afternoon was Michael Soroka, and he overall was pretty good. Now, the final line was not great. 3 runs in 5 innings. His peripherals were good. 8 strikeouts, no walks. He threw a lot of strikes, 82 pitches, 60 strikes, just 22 balls. He gave up some hits, though. He gave up 7 hits, which were 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 3 singles. And, unlike Jake Irvin in the previous game, Soroka staked out to a big early lead, only ended up eating the 5 innings. But 8 strikeouts, no walks, that plays. He pounded the zone. So I can't be too critical of Soroka, but no doubt you would have liked to have seen him last longer than 5 innings.
Yeah, 5 2/3. He was close to getting through the 6, which would have been the first time that he had done that this year. But I think it is a little telling what we've seen from him so far. Pretty much every one of his starts, there have been stretches in them that you would say to yourself, ooh, that was good. He looks impressive. And there were a good stretch, the first 4 innings of this game. It's 4 scoreless on 54 pitches. As you said, he's pounding the strike zone, so he's not walking guys. And he's getting swing and miss with the combination of the fastball and his breaking ball, which for the first time, it's showing up on StatCast as a slurve instead of a slider. I don't know what the technical difference is there. I guess it looks something between a slider and a curveball. Regardless, it was working for him. I think the one nit to pick here is it feels like a trend where he's not finishing these starts on a high note. Now, is that a product of him still working his way back from being on the IL? He's only made 4 starts for them this year, and so that will come with a little more time and a little more stamina? Or, and this is something that was talked about when they signed him, is there an issue with him about going deeper in games, facing a lineup a third time? Is he really cut out to be more of a 5-inning guy or even a long reliever where he had some success late last season with the White Sox? I think it's too soon to say that. I think you want to give him a chance to build his arm up, pitch every 5th day healthy, and see how it goes. I would say that's the one thing holding him back right now. If you just asked me how has Michael Soroka looked when he's pitched so far this year, I would say he's looked pretty good. And then you look at the stats and say he's got a 5.95 ERA. What's up with that? I think it's because of these late in his starts, giving up some runs that's kind of skewering the numbers as opposed to how he's actually looked when he's pitched.
I'll admit I'm a sucker for the strikeout. He's striking guys out at a good rate, 23 strikeouts in 19 2/3 innings. And I guess some of this, too, is just expectation. I mean, I did not have high expectations for Michael Soroka. And if you look at his career, save for his 2019 season, it's not like he's had some great career as a starting pitcher. So if he is a guy who can only go through a lineup twice, can only give you, say, 5 innings per start at best, I kind of think that that's probably okay. And I don't know that anyone is necessarily shocked by that. There's a reason that he was demoted from out of the Chicago White Sox rotation last season. So, yeah, I think the fact that he's striking guys out is good. He's not putting that many guys on base. But look, an ERA approaching 6 is not ideal for sure. So we just do need to see more. It's only 4 starts. But after MacKenzie Gore, you could argue Soroka, believe it or not, has been the Nats' best strikeout pitcher in terms of starting pitchers so far this season.
Sure. And again, I think just based on how he's looked, I think there's been more to like about it than anything. He said today that he really has been focused on being a strike thrower, trusting that the stuff can be good enough. He's worked hard the last couple of years, coming back from these injuries and just refining his mechanics and trying to become a successful pitcher again for the first time in a while. He's put a lot of work into that, and I think he likes what he's seeing, and he's doing what he set out to do, which is, throwing harder than he has in the past, mid to not quite upper 90s, but like 95 to 96 with a good breaking ball and filling up the strike zone, which should, in theory, give him a chance to go deeper in games. And again, he hasn't done that yet, but I think a lot of that is he just hasn't had the chance to build his arm up and his body up the way that he would if he had been healthy all year. So let's give it a couple more to see. But I'm more encouraged than discouraged by what we've seen from Michael Soroka so far.
You look at the Nats bullpen in this 10-4 win at the O's on Sunday afternoon. 4 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run in 3 1/3 innings. The 1 run coming off Brad Lord, who faced 4 batters and got 3 outs. He in an Orioles 1-run 7th gave up a 1-out opposite field solo homer by Jackson Holliday to left center to cut the Orioles deficit to 8-4, despite Holiday having been down at 1.12. Andrew Chafin, bottom of the 7th, faced 2 batters, got 1 out. Jorge Lopez tossed a scoreless bottom of the 8th, and Cole Henry tossed a scoreless bottom of the 9th, despite issuing a 1-out hit by pitch of Holiday, because no 2025 Nats game would be complete without a Nats reliever issuing a hit by pitch. I wanted to bring up Lord. So we're now a few weeks into him being back in the bullpen. The idea was that his development as a starting pitcher would continue with him in the bullpen. I don't get the sense that that's happening. He's not making like multiple inning appearances out of the bullpen. He's pitching every so often. He's usually going for about an inning. Now, in fairness to the team, Lord hasn't exactly killed it as a reliever in this latest stint in the bullpen. He's given up some runs. That is true. But to this idea of, well, we're going to develop him as a reliever and he's going to come out of the pen and going to pitch multiple innings and he'll be our long man, we're not seeing that, at least not so far.
No, he is just become one of the guys back there. Not a high leverage guy, not the clear, hey, when we need 3 innings because the starter gets knocked out early. He's not that guy. He's just one of the guys they go to. And maybe that will develop over the time as he gets used to the role and they find the right spots that he can succeed in. But it feels like from a developmental standpoint, it's not necessarily good for him. That this is why there was a case to be made that when Soroka came back, that Lord could actually go back to AAA and continue on a starter's routine, knowing that they might need him again. Now, maybe they won't need him in the rotation. Maybe they actually believe that ultimately they are set up to not need him as a starting pitcher in the long run. And we haven't mentioned this guy in a few days, but Cade Cavalli, who's off the IL now and officially just a AAA pitcher, had a really good start for Rochester the other night. 8 strikeouts in only 4 innings. Maybe when the time comes for them to bring up another starter, he's next on the list. And so Lord really is destined for the bullpen. But the way he's been used is just kind of an inning here or there, not really in big spots. And as you said, the performance has been okay, but not great. And so I don't really know what he is at this point, how he fits into this. And I guess my fear would just be, what is this doing for his development to just have him as, say, the number 6 option in an 8-man bullpen as opposed to letting him start every 5th day at AAA?
When he came in for Soroka and you have the Nats with this substantial lead, I said to myself, all right, I kind of like this. Maybe Lord will finish out the game or at least go 2-3 innings. And instead he pitches the 1 inning. And I know he gave up the run, but, did we have to see Andrew Chafin in this game? Did we have to see Jorge Lopez in this game? Like, ideally, this would be a game in which Lord ends up pitching a decent amount. And he didn't. I will say this. Nats starters do continue to consume innings. We mentioned Soroka going 5 2/3 on Sunday afternoon. Again, these rankings and stats will change as games come to completions on Sunday. But as we're recording this, the Nats for this regular season are 7th in the majors in innings from starting pitchers, 258 1/3. And you see what happened with Kyle Gibson for the Orioles on Saturday. And it does make you appreciate what we've had with national starting pitchers this season. Even the bad starts, they'll go 5 or 6 innings, might give up 4 or 5 runs, but Nats starting pitchers are consuming innings. And I think that that's kind of a sneaky, underrated positive for the team so far.
No, it absolutely is. I mean, you had that weird game Friday by MacKenzie Gore that he only goes 3 2/3, even though he threw 102 pitches. That's one of the few times that the Nats starter has not, certainly not even to get to 5, but not even get to 4 innings for them this year. And we talked about this in the offseason. I mean, this is Mike Rizzo and Davey Martinez's philosophy. Build a starting rotation that can go deeper in games. They want the mindset to be 6, even 7 innings from them. Don't be satisfied with 5. And so, yeah, it creates a scenario where if they do what they're supposed to do, the need for those multi-inning relievers, I think, lessens. And then who knows what that means for Brad Lord in the long run. But kind of a quietly important development, I think, so far this year has been the rotation's ability, not necessarily to dominate, but to get them a good way through the game and at least put them in a position to have a chance to win late.
Hey, it's Al Galdi for Window Nation. May is officially here, and so are the rising temperatures. Before you know it, you'll be wondering what else you can do to keep cool during the dog days of summer. Beat the heat and keep the AC in your home with Window Nation's energy-efficient vinyl windows. During Window Nation's semi-annual sale, buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free, and a free entry door when you purchase a house full of windows. Plus, no money down, no interest, and no monthly payments until 2020. 2027. That's a whole lot of savings and a super smart investment, especially when prices are rising. So how exactly does Window Nation keep prices affordable? Well, Window Nation works directly with the top window manufacturers in the country, which means all of Window Nation's windows are assembled right here in the USA. Plus, Window Nation windows come with a lifetime warranty, so you'll keep saving long into the future. Window Nation's semi-annual sale ends on May 31st. Buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free, and a free entry door when you purchase a house full of windows, plus pay nothing until 2027. Schedule your estimate right now at 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com. That's 866-90NATION or windownation.com, and tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you.
Life as a small business owner, everything is your problem and there aren't enough hours in the day. That's where LinkedIn Jobs, and by proxy Nats Chat, are here to help. For those crucial hires that you absolutely can't whiff on, turn to LinkedIn Jobs. Simply post your job and LinkedIn will take it from there, making sure it gets in front of the properly qualified candidates who are searching themselves. Find out why more than 2.5 million small business owners have turned to LinkedIn Jobs to grow their staff. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/natschat. That's linkedin.com/natschat to post your jobs for free. LINKEDIN.com/NATSCHAT. Terms and conditions apply.
Baker delivers. Bell swings and hits a bomb way back to right center field. Going, long gone. Goodbye. Halfway up the seats in right center field. A tape measure home run for Josh Bell. It's his 6th of the year. They've all come from the left side of the plate. His 15th run batted in. And the Nationals get one back here in the top of the 8th inning to push the lead back to 5. It's Washington 9 and Baltimore 4. What a blast by Josh Bell. No doubter.
So no game for the Nats on Monday. Next up for them, a 6-game homestand beginning with a 3-game series against the Atlanta Braves at Nationals Park. Game 1, Tuesday evening, 6:45. Mitchell Parker will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 2, Wednesday evening, 6:45. Trevor Williams will be the Nats starting pitcher. And Game 3, Thursday evening, 6:45. MacKenzie Gore will be the Nats starting pitcher. Chris Sale will be the Braves starting pitcher. Juicy matchup, battle of lefties on Thursday evening at Nats Park. Gore versus Sale, going to be good.
Yeah, that's a high-profile matchup, and it will be very interesting to see how Gore responds to it, and also how the Nats as a whole, can you take advantage of it? If your ace puts up an ace-like performance, can you do enough to support him and give yourself a chance? And then the other thing is it's officially TBA, but all the signs for Tuesday are that Spencer Strider is going to come off the IL to start for the Braves. This is their potential long-term ace, a 20-game winner in 2023 before he started dealing with major injuries. And so who knows what he's going to look like in that first start in a long time. But that's a big-time challenge from a guy who throws heat. Let's see how this lineup does. We saw what they did against the Orioles pitching staff. This is a very different challenge coming up here against the Braves.
For sure. And, we'll see if Mitchell Parker struggles again. He needs to get on track. We'll see if Trevor Williams struggles again. He needs to get on track. I will say this. I do think a sign of a good team, or at least a decent team, is when you face a bad team that you take care of business, that you rip them and you put up some big numbers. And the Nats did do that in this series at the O's. So, how much of this was the Nats being good versus the O's being bad? Hard to say, but I think there is something to be said for when you face a bad team that you bully that bad team. And the Nats did bully that team in this series.
And how many times have we seen that in reverse? When the Nats are not going well and they get steamrolled by somebody over 3 days. So yes, you absolutely have to do that when you're facing a team that was clearly down, and the Nationals drove the Orioles even further down. As bad as the feeling was around here on Friday, it is much, much worse at the end of a miserable weekend for them that now has to have them wondering, where is this all going to end in the long run for the Orioles?
Well, as many people listening will remember, it was the Nats getting swept by the lowly O's in 2021 that in a lot of ways ignited the Nats rebuild, that convinced everyone, okay, something's wrong here. Mike Rizzo ends up engineering the fire sale of late July 2021. Here we are now years later, and it is a 3-game sweep by the Nats at the O's that results in the firing of manager Brandon Hyde. By the way, no game for the Nats on Monday. No game for the Nats the following Monday. They are off on Memorial Day. I feel like that is un-American. That should not be the case, that an MLB team has an off day on Memorial Day, but that is in fact going to be the case.
It is. It's a travel day, or they'll have traveled late Sunday night to go out west because they face the Mariners in Seattle beginning on Tuesday. Looking at that, as I was making my travel plans, I noticed that and thought, I can spend Memorial Day at home with the family. When's the last time I could say I could do that? I'll take it. It is a little odd, as you said, but as long as they're playing July 4th in D.C. at 11 a.m., they can do whatever else they want with the schedule, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm excited this year, July 4th on a Friday, which is nice. So that'll be fun. The Nats have a 3-game series against the Boston Red Sox at Nationals Park July 4th weekend this year. All right, we have a shout out to deliver, and it goes like this. This is for a Nick Blackwell, #1 fan of the Nationals and the Nats Chat podcast. Nick never misses an episode of Nats Chat and has been a loyal listener since the very beginning. He also has been courageously battling a chronic illness for the past few years, and through it all, his love for baseball and for the Nats has been a constant source of strength and joy. Nick fell in love with the game when he was just 7 years old, right around the time that the Nats arrived in his hometown of Washington, D.C. He says he has too many favorite memories to count, from Ryan Zimmerman's first home run to the magic of the 2019 season and beyond. Following this iconic team really inspires Nick to keep fighting. Nick also is a talented musician, and one of his biggest dreams is to compose for piano professionally. He's looking forward to the day he feels well enough to fully pursue that passion. And in the meantime, Nats Chat and Nationals baseball help to keep his spirits high. So here's to Nick, a true fan, a fighter, and a valued member of the Nats Chat community. Let's win one for him. And we certainly echo all of that, and we wish Nick nothing but the best. And thank you very much, Nick, for listening to the podcast.
You know, we've said this several times over the years that we've done the podcast. It is so uplifting for us personally to know what a difference the podcast can make in people's lives. Whatever people may have going on in their own personal lives, the idea that listening to us every day can help boost their spirits and help them move along with whatever the challenges they may face. It's a very humbling thought for us. So a huge shout out to Nick. Best of luck to you. We're fighting with you for what you're going through, and whatever part we can play in that process, we are proud to be a part of it.
Absolutely. We have a website that you can check out, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. We always appreciate the support. You on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify can both rate the podcast and write reviews. 5-star ratings are always very much appreciated, and positive reviews are very much appreciated. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Zach Eflin's into the windup. First pitch of the day on the way and swung on and lined to right field toward the corner way back, and it is gone. Goodbye. Bang! Zoom goes C.J. Abrams on the first pitch of the ball game. It's another game leadoff home run for C.J. Abrams over the 21-foot wall in right field. And Abrams has done it again. It's his 4th leadoff home run this year and 11th of his career. That is second all-time on the Nationals list. And it's the Nationals 1 and the Orioles nothing. Home run number 7 on the year for CJ.